Jake Paul simply refuses to go away. After Floyd Mayweather's most recent exhibition outing, Paul once again attempted to ride on his coattails, suggesting that Floyd is wasting his fans' money. However, Paul should probably take a look at himself before he starts dishing out claims of boxers wasting fans' money. Today, we are discussing Paul's most recent comments concerning Floyd Mayweather as he urges him to stop ruining his legacy. Stay with us. Let's get straight into it then. What has Paul been saying now? In his role as one of the most attention-hungry personalities online these days, Jake Paul has urged Floyd Mayweather to stop taking exhibition fights. As someone who is involved in celebrity crossover fights himself, this could be seen as a little rich from Paul. Paul was discussing the issue after Floyd's latest fight late last month, a two-round destruction of Mikuru Asakura at Japan's Super Reason event. However, Paul isn't impressed with how Floyd has been earning his money of late, accusing Paul of wasting his fans' time. The fight was the fourth time Floyd has been involved in an exhibition bout since his retirement, which includes a win over Paul's older brother Logan, in which the YouTuber was overheard encouraging Floyd to chill after what he viewed as an over-excessive use of force. But Paul has gotten to the end of his tether with Floyd, but we're not even sure anybody even asked for his opinion. He said, "Alright ladies and gentlemen, picture this. It's 2022. Floyd Mayweather is ruining his legacy, fighting no-name guys, wasting his fans' money, wasting his fans' time," before going on to claim that Mayweather doesn't even know the names of the people he's fighting these days. Claiming to be looking out for Mayweather's fans' welfare, Paul suggested that Floyd has to take these bouts to pay his tax bills, before appearing to claim that Floyd has encouraged him to come down to his weight to fight him. So what do we know? Let's see. Well, of course, Paul doesn't care about Floyd's fans in the slightest, and was simply angling for a fight with the legendary boxer himself, claiming a fight between the pair would be one of the biggest fights to make in boxing. The younger Paul brother told Mayweather flat out he would be down to fight him. I mean, when will this guy stop? Discussing weight and how much money they might make, Paul went on, "I weigh 175, you weigh 165. We can get that done, make a couple $100 million, but what will your excuse be? You didn't care what my brother weighed, so why do you care what I weigh? Oh, because you know what's going to happen. I want to say, I've got your zero. I don't want to just say, I've got your hat. I got your zero." The sooner we stop giving this guy airtime, the better. For Paul to claim that Floyd is making excuses after himself pulling out of the Hasim Rahman fight because Rahman was 10 pounds overweight more than a week out is quite literally nonsensical. Paul didn't let up either, accusing Mayweather of looking for a way out of the fight. He then claimed that Floyd had said in the past that he will come unstuck once he faces a real boxer. But Paul then asked Money, "Why not let that be you?" What do you make of Paul's ridiculous comments? Next up, Jake Paul has teased a move to MMA. Stay with us. Much like CM Punk when he decided to move from WWE into real fighting, Jake Paul has risked becoming the laughingstock of the MMA community recently, claiming that he is in talks with a big organization to make his mixed martial arts debut, suggesting that he has an announcement forthcoming. Paul has long been linked with a move to MMA, but with no amateur career behind him, nor any reputable training, the idea of Paul taking to the octagon would surely make a mockery of the sport. Speaking on his podcast recently, Paul said, "I've got an announcement coming soon. I can just tease that. I'm working with a big organization right now on a whole thing in MMA that also has to do with me fighting, and we're going to have an announcement soon." Paul is set to take on MMA legend Anderson Silva in the boxing ring later this month, with many suggesting Paul will be in for a shock when he comes up against the Brazilian. And speaking further about the potential of entering the octagon at some point, Paul claims that world-renowned trainer Javier Mendez, who also trains one Islam Makhachev, has agreed to train him, claiming that he needs a year and a half to get the kicks down. The MMA world should be very afraid, as he claimed to already know jiu-jitsu. Good grief, can you see Paul taking to the octagon? Paul has given his thoughts on boxing's real top 10. Stick around. For some reason, Jake Paul believes that his opinions on who is part of boxing top 10 pound for pound actually matter. Placing Britain's Tyson Fury at the top of the list, Paul actually included 13 fighters in his top 10, hilariously claiming that his own fighter, Amanda Serrano, and Katie Taylor are tied in 5th place, even though Taylor beat Serrano earlier this year. Embarrassingly for Paul, he thinks Serrano won, saying, "I have the ladies tied because Serrano beat Taylor at 135 pounds, and the judges robbed her. But at 126 pounds, Taylor would be KO'd, and we all know it. Can't argue otherwise. 10 years of bad luck. Nonsense." Just as funny was his exclusion of one of the greatest boxers of all time, Saul Canelo Alvarez, who fought just a few weeks ago against Gennady Golovkin. Canelo was actually beaten by Dmitry Bivol earlier this year, which shows you the depth of Paul's boxing knowledge, judging a man for being beaten in his previous fight. I guess his epic record of 58-2-2 means absolutely nothing to a man who has failed to face a real boxer but claims to be a professional. well. Discussing his second-placed fighters, Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, he said those guys are obvious and all it just needs to be settled, before going on to discuss Artur Beterbiev, saying he is the only current champion who holds all KOs, and that's not talked about enough, which is actually the most sense he might have ever spoken. Exhausting. News of a huge bet Paul has offered to Dana White next. As Jake Paul gets set to take on former UFC middleweight champion Anderson Silva at the end of the month, the YouTuber has proposed the pair put $5 million on the line to see who comes out on top against Silva. Paul and Silva have been engaging in numerous promotional events recently, and as the tour made its way to Arizona, Jake decided to suggest a friendly wager with the UFC boss. He said, "Dana White did not think I'd take this fight, and Dana, I know you're watching, bro. You still owe me $1 million from when you bet against me on Ben Askren." Paul, who many combat sports purists are hoping eats the canvas against Silva, went on to allege Dana is hiding from him, before encouraging him to stop being a and make a bet against me and Anderson, and actually pay up this time because you didn't think I would take this fight. He went on to suggest they should first make a bet of £1 million, before quickly doubling, then settling on $5 million. He then tried to goad Dana into making the bet by calling him a once more. It is also thought Paul is eager to put something on the line against Anderson, which he promises to get clever about. Who do you think wins? And let us know why at Silva below. And finally, those Tommy Fury rumors just won't go away. Stay with us. Tommy Fury has been forced to pull out of fights against Jake Paul twice in the past year, the first time through injury and the second due to the fact he couldn't get a visa to enter the States, thanks to the Fury clan's ties to Irish gangster Daniel Kinahan. But speaking on his podcast recently, Jake has again claimed that the fight is set to go down early next year, with the pair both agreeing to terms. Of course, Paul is set to take on Anderson Silva at the end of this month, and Fury will fight Paul Bamba in Dubai. But should both come out of their respective bouts unscathed, a fight could be on the cards once more. Paul said, "I had a call with Tommy Fury. Yeah, they're saying we're going to fight in February. I think he, Fury, actually can't come to the US, so if I fight him in the UK, it can happen." Paul then called Fury's previous pullouts shady, before going on to explain that he simply wants to knock him out. Do you guys think this one will ever get booked? As usual, thanks for dropping in on us today, and remember to tune in again next time when we will be discussing all sorts of other cool bits and pieces. And why not do us a solid by liking today's video, whilst also sharing it with any Paul fans you might know of. Bye!